Did you know that almost 200 years ago, the car of the future was already here? And it was electric? Welcome to Tomorrow's World Today. It started in the 1830s when Scottish inventor Robert Anderson built the first crude electric carriage. Then, in the 1890s, William Morrison innovated it and brought it to America, creating the world's first 6-passenger wagon. And it hit a staggering 14 miles an hour. At the dawn of the 1900s, electric cars were the kings of the road. They dominated the streets of New York and London. For decades, the electric car was the gold standard, not the car with the dangerous hand crank to start it. But then in 1912, Charles Kettering, he changed everything. He invented the electric self-starter for gasoline engines, and suddenly the gas car started easily, and the electric car got put on the shelf. Well, it took nearly 100 years, but then in the 1990s, the automobile industry showed the world that the electric car never truly died. It was just waiting for the world to catch up. Today, the electric vehicle is at the forefront of innovation, and we're reimagining electricity and power. We're moving toward a future where your car doesn't just take power, it can also put power back into your home when your lights go out. So I'm going to send Greg to explore the world of innovation to discover the latest developments shaping our world.
As we move into an increasingly electrified world, some of the concerns that people have over the electrical grid, which distributes that power, become more and more pressing. Well, the folks at Toyota may have a solution to a piece of that puzzle. I'm in Plano, Texas, at Toyota HQ to talk to the experts about how a new breed of EVs and bidirectional charging can help to make sure that we have the power that we need today and in tomorrow's world. Right now, let's check in with Norman Liu to find out a little bit about the history of EVs and more. So, Norman, this is a beautiful spot. I'm really glad we could have this conversation out
Same here.
So, Norman, how long have you been with Toyota?
This is my 21st year.
Wow. So you've kind of been there and seen the development of EVs over that time.
I have. All the way from our very first RAV4 EV all the way to our latest EV, the Highlander, which I think gets over 300 miles on a single charge.
Well, now there are lots of different kinds of EVs. You have the plug-in hybrids, you have straight battery EVs. Tell me about the differences and how they might work for an individual.
Absolutely. At Toyota, we call that our multipathway approach, meaning we recognize every customer is unique, and there's not a single solution that fits every customer's needs. So we electrify in a wide range to be able to give customers the benefits of an EV experience, but in a powertrain that meets their needs. So that starts with a gasoline hybrid, which adds a battery and a motor to really give a lot of efficiency benefits to a normal gas motor, to a plug-in hybrid, which has the same benefits of go anywhere range as a gas hybrid, but when you charge the vehicle, that battery will allow you to drive in a full electric mode for 30 to 50 miles, all the way to a full battery EV, which is quiet, smooth, powerful, and you can get now over 300 miles to a single charge.
That's amazing, and all of the different size options that are available as well, so you can really find a vehicle that works for you.
Absolutely. Most of our product lines now have an electrified version, whether it's a hybrid plug-in or a full battery electric.
That leads me to my next question, which is everybody talks about the grid, the stress on the grid by all of the electrification of the world basically that's happening right now, and EVs are a part of that. How are EVs going to actually help mitigate those problems rather than add to them?
Great question, because I think we've all seen some of the concerns about the grid and its ability to provide power as more things get electrified. One of the first ways that an EV actually helps to support the grid is in when we charge. EV actually draws quite a bit of power when you're charging, but we can shift when the car charges based on the demand on the grid, so that as long as we're charging when the demand on the grid is low, we're not straining the grid anymore. Moving that into the next step, which is bidirection power. That means in addition to charging your EV from the grid, we can now take the energy from an EV battery and send it back. When there's a power outage, an EV can power your entire home just like a generator, and you can further push the power back to the grid and fix the supply and demand imbalances on the grid. That makes the entire grid more resilient and also reduces energy costs for everyone.
Wow, so this is a way that you can actually work with your utility company to take stress off of the grid rather than add to it.
That's right.
Norman, thank you very much. This has been great. I'm going to head over now and talk to Cody about the latest in electric vehicles. We learned from Norman about the history and current state of EVs. Now let's talk to Cody Emmerich, Vehicle Marketing and Communications and Senior Planner, about electric vehicle misconceptions. Hey, Cody.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, Cody, just talking to Norman about the history of EVs, and was shocked to find out exactly how long EVs have been around. They've been around for a long time, but there are still a lot of misconceptions around these vehicles. One of the things that Americans love most is driving because it's fun. How fun are these things to actually drive?
These are incredibly fun to drive. They're almost what I would call like a sleeper vehicle in the sense that they look very traditional, very normal, but electric motors have the ability to produce a lot of torque at very low RPMs and over a wide range of speed. So what that means is you don't have the need for a traditional transmission with multiple gears to shift through. And when you have that instantaneous power delivery, they are incredibly zippy. Not only that, they're incredibly smooth and quiet. So it's a very fun to drive experience.
Well, now you work in marketing, so I guess that's one of the misconceptions that you have to kind of get folks over, is that these things are actually a really good time to drive. What are some of the other things that you feel folks misunderstand about electric vehicles?
There's a lot of misconceptions, and as you mentioned, marketing, we have to overcome a lot of that. People, when they think of EVs, they think of a vehicle in which they're making compromises or sacrifices, because early to market EVs come to mind for a lot of people, and those early to market EVs were really limited to like 100 miles of range, and we had a very somewhat infantile charging infrastructure as far as public charging goes. And people think of that, it's going to be hard to charge, I'm not going to be able to drive it very far. But these EVs, they've really evolved. We have larger batteries, we have more efficient batteries, we have more capable motors. So a modern EV essentially equates to the same capability as an internal combustion engine vehicle. It's just a matter of adopting that charging mindset and knowing where and when you will typically be charging. It's at home for most people, and that equates to having the capability to start every morning with what is essentially a full tank.
One of the other things that I guess folks think about when they compare an EV to an internal combustion engine vehicle is the price. There used to be a fairly big price difference between the two, but that really has leveled out over the years.
It's essentially completely leveled out. So if you were to look at an EV in a particular segment and look at the other models that are in that segment that are maybe internal combustion only or hybrid, and the price points are right next to one another.
Now, one of the things that Norman and I touched on is the multipathway strategy that Toyota has. And that's really based around the idea of making sure that the right EV goes with the right individual. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. At Toyota, we want to give our guests what they want, what they're shopping for, and what fits their lifestyle. EVs fit a lot of people, but you know what? Maybe not everybody. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to continue to want to drive an internal combustion engine, and that's going to make sense for a lot of people as well. So we will continue to evolve our lineup as our customers, dictate essentially, and ensure that we're offering something for everybody. And right here we have our latest offering. This is the newest Highlander, the 2027. It's 100% electric, and will go on sale a little later this year.
So can we get a look inside?
Yeah, let's check it out.
All right.
So, what are your first thoughts?
Wow, Cody, this really just feels like a slightly futuristic version of a really nice luxury car.
That's absolutely right. I mean, when people think about EVs, sometimes they have another one of those misconceptions like we're talking about, that there's going to be something vastly different on the inside, but it really isn't. It just feels like a well-appointed vehicle.
Right, and there's really nothing going on here technology-wise that you wouldn't find in a higher-end internal combustion vehicle.
That's right. It should feel very familiar for most people that have driven any vehicle from the last few years. You know, you have your technologies like a large touchscreen, your navigation, and in the case of the Highlander, we have certain things like this is actually a wireless charging station. So you can just simply set your devices down here and they charge. There will be some unique cues that it's an EV, some different styling cues, just like we have on the exterior of the vehicle, but overall, feel very familiar.
It's so comfortable. So, you know, a long trip, a short trip, just running around town, it really would be fun to drive around in this vehicle because it just really feels great.
Absolutely, and I mean, just going back to the point that we made earlier, they're quite peppy, they're zippy, incredibly smooth, and when you have something that's appointed like this, it is like a sanctuary on the inside because the ride is going to be so smooth, it's going to be so quiet.
Wow. Well, Cody, thank you very much. I want to go find out more about charging and how that works in with a family's lifestyle, and I'm going to go talk to Maddie about that.
That sounds great. We'll see you later.
Now that we've dispelled some myths around electric vehicles, let's check in with Grid Services Manager Maddie Strutner. We will learn more about charge assist and bidirectional charging. Hi, Maddie.
Hi, Greg.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, Maddie, one of the things that I'm finding and talking with your cohorts is that charging seems to be a thing that people are really concerned about when it comes to electric vehicles. They really don't need to be. We've actually gotten to a point where they might be able to work with their utility company in charging their vehicle at the most efficient times and the most inexpensive times for them. But explain to me how this system works with the utility company and an individual or a family and their home.
Yeah, so the goal of Charge Assist is to make charging for customers simple and cost-effective while also helping the utilities. So what customers can do is they can sign up for Charge Assist through the Toyota app, and then when they come home, they're able to plug in their vehicle, and the Charge Assist is able to charge their vehicle based on a schedule that's best suited for the customer, based on when it's cheapest for them, and also when it's best for the utility to not put excess strain on the electricity grid.
Well, that sounds great. It also sounds as though you have to kind of be on a regular schedule. What happens if you need to deviate from that?
Yeah, so the Charge Assist software is able to look at your previous driving behavior and then build a customizable schedule for each individual driver. So a customer can either follow these schedules, or if they need to charge differently, they can charge however they want and override the schedule.
And then jump right back into the app and go into the regular schedule again, just like that.
Yes.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this vehicle. Now, this is a Japanese spec vehicle. Why Japanese specifications?
Yeah, so we were talking about managed charging and Charge Assist, and that's all about how a vehicle charges from the electricity grid. We have this Japanese spec vehicle that we've been able to utilize for vehicle to grid. So not only are we charging from the electricity grid, but we're able to send electricity from the vehicle back to the power grid when there's strain on the grid.
So this is bidirectional charging?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, can we take a spin?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's go. The next 10 years will be crucial to the health of our electric grid. Let's check in with Apoorv Bhargava, CEO and co-founder of WeaveGrid, and see how Toyota and WeaveGrid aspire to be a part of that. Hey, Apoorv.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
I'm great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, I just spent some time with Maddie and I actually got to take a spin in the Japanese specification vehicle, which is, I guess, ultimately how bidirectional charging will be introduced into the United States. But a lot of folks are concerned about the health of the grid and what a new influx of EVs will mean for that. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the electric grid is one of the most incredible innovations of the last century. And yet at the same time, it's under a lot of pressure and change right now, more than ever before. We've got an influx of electric cars, 280 million vehicles in the United States. It's a lot of cars. At the same time as you've also got increasing amounts of AI data centers and onshoring and manufacturing, and also more and more variable renewable energy. So there's a real need right now to help orchestrate all of these changes, this imbalance that's happening increasingly between demand and supply. And we're all feeling it because we're all starting to see higher and higher electric bills because all of this growth that's coming online is really starting to lead to pressure and a need to build out more and more of our infrastructure. And that's where the magic of managing charging and bidirectional energy comes in. Because if you can now use your car as a way to actually add to the grid, to provide more supply, or be able to actually balance those imbalances that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis, you can not just defer the need for building out more of the grid, you can actually suck up all that extra solar energy in the middle of the day or that extra wind energy in the middle of the night.
Well, where do you see this technology moving ahead, say, for the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think the next 10 years are going to be transformational for the grid. We're seeing unprecedented growth at the same time as unprecedented changes in the supply of how energy is produced and delivered. And so as more and more people start driving plug-in hybrid vehicles and battery electric vehicles, their ability to participate in the grid of tomorrow and be able to both save money on their electric bills, but also be able to actually help, really kind of bring down the cost for their community and their state is going to be unparalleled. And that's what excites me about grid technologies going forward.
That's excellent. And I know that Toyota and WeaveGrid are aiming to be a big part of that. Thank you, Apoorv.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm meeting with Norman Liu, Senior Program Manager at Toyota, to talk about the future of EVs. Hi, Norman. Welcome to Invention Land.
Thanks for having me, George.
You bet. It's great to have you here because I'm a fan of this technology that keeps coming out of Toyota. I like to take things all the way back to the founder sometimes, and I've studied who he was. His whole innovative spirit, moving from a loom to an automated loom, and then scaling so the clothing could be made more efficiently. That was big back then.
Yes.
And then a jump into automobiles, and here we are today. This arc of innovation just keeps moving. And so I'd like to know, what's really gonna happen next over here at Toyota?
Absolutely. Innovation is in the DNA, it's in our company culture, and specifically for electrified vehicles, ever since our first hybrid vehicle 25 years ago, we've continuously improved and innovated on that for plug-in hybrids, and now our latest full battery electric vehicle, the new 2027 Highlander.
It's good looking. But I want to know more about it because these are prototype photos, aren't they?
They are.
So let's hear the latest. I want to hear all the good stuff that's coming out.
Well, it is a 3-row family SUV, and with a full charge, you can drive over 300 miles.
Nice.
So very practical. It is also using batteries that are assembled at our new North Carolina facility, and the entire vehicle is assembled in our Kentucky Georgetown facility. And this is also the first Toyota EV to have bidirection power capability.
Bidirection. Okay, so this is new tech. Let's talk a little bit about that. What's happening with bidirectional?
You have this huge battery in your EV now that you can use it to power other things, such as tools, tailgate parties,
Ooh, I like that idea.
campsites, and even power your entire home when there's a power outage.
Yeah, we have that challenge too. Our power grid around here, we have some failure from time to time. We have one of those big generators outside of our home. And here at Invention Land, we have a couple big ones here too, but they don't always fire up. And so we have some delays there. So you're telling me that this vehicle could feed energy back into my home or potentially back into the office?
Just like a gas generator does today, it will backfeed and power up an entire home, but do so completely silently and without emission. So you don't have to worry about the safety aspects of carbon monoxide.
Great, so I don't have that problem anymore.
No.
All right, so we're at Tomorrow's World today. So I've got to ask you to take me to the future for a minute. What are we going to see in the future from Toyota?
We're really excited, and this bidirection capability to power your own personal stuff is just the first step. In the very near future, we will be integrating these electric vehicles back into the entire grid and be able to send power back to the grid when it needs it. You mentioned power outages. Our electric grid is aging and strained due to the ever-increasing demand on electricity use. EVs can store power and send that back to the grid when people are needing it the most. And when you think about thousands of EVs all synchronized and doing that at the same time, It will help balance the grid, reduce power outages overall, and lower the cost of energy for everyone.
Wow, that's big, especially now with AI pulling in so much power, and we're solving big problems there. So that's great to hear.
Thank you very much.
Well, everybody, that's another edition of Tomorrow's World Today, and we'll see you in the next episode. So Norman, we have some great tech going on in the lab. You want to check some of it out?
Can't wait.
Yeah, we're working on some of this new engineering. And remember, tomorrow's world is where inspiration and creation drive innovation in production. See you next time.